Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Horse Geeks podcast, where we look at horses and riding from the inside out. I'm Kirsten Nelsen, professional horse trainer, and with me is my basically co-host, right?
Yeah, right?
Deb Romero, and Deb is a certified Alexander Technique instructor. And today's topic, we really got sidetracked in the last
I
episode.
know, it's
So
so fun.
So this week we will talk about the topic of what to look for when you're buying a horse,
Mm.
especially looking at horses through video and trying to kind of sort out the ones that you want to go visit in person. And so picking out a horse is the topic. And I always recommend whenever it's possible, go meet the horse before you buy. Like a lot of people buy
Oh,
horses just off of video.
I know.
And sometimes you kind of have to. It's a long distance, but if at all
Right,
possible, there's nothing better than sort of getting the horse's vibe, uh, you know,
right.
in person or feeling what that horse actually rides like,
Good point.
what that feels like when you're on, because the problem is horses, part of their survival instinct is that they are masters of compensation
Mm.
because deviant movement attracts the eye of a predator as the weak link in a herd. So, one of the big problems with buying a horse is horses will mask lameness until they can't anymore. Horses will even
Right,
mask, there's lots of different ways stress can manifest, and not all of it is overt expressions of stress. And so, like, I find in the horse business, sometimes what we call a push button horse is a horse that's in the stress response of fawning, right? So we have
right.
fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and shutdown. And the fawning and the shutdown are two defensive strategies that are kind of more covert. And so it's hard to see that the horse is in stress because in the fawning strategy, they're highly obedient, even anticipating what the rider wants.
Have you heard the stories of or and the ad reads push button horse, husband horse, schoolmaster, and then when the person goes to try the horse, all that's there, but when they bring the horse home, it's not that horse.
Right, because you're also dealing with a living, thinking being.
Right.
And so sometimes what I've seen is the owner did everything right, right? They looked at all these videos. They went and checked out the horse in person. One client who really wanted to find a horse that was going to help her become more confident, she went and rode the horse she leased it. So she paid to lease the
Oh,
horse
that's
for
a good
like,
idea.
yeah, for like 3 months.
Good idea.
And she worked with the trainer at the trainer's place, and everything went well. She kept sending me videos to look at, and I go, there's little signs here and there, but it kind of looks manageable. And the sales video was full of this horse trail riding all over with all kinds of chaos and blah, blah, blah. And she wanted to do obstacle courses.
Mhm.
So she went and did obstacle courses with this horse, and she was in heaven. Then she moved the horse home, different horse.
Yeah.
And by
And
the time I saw the horse in person, this horse she had worked with it for 3 months at the trainer, moved it to one barn that was out of my range. I didn't go to that barn. Then she moved him to another barn that was closer, and that's when I came in the picture. And I was like, this is not the horse I saw on the video.
right.
And so it was just interesting because it's not always that the seller is trying to fool the buyer.
Right.
There's a reality to the horse being in their home environment, what they're used to, feeling safe with the person they work with the most, and having buddies, having a routine,
Herd
right?
the whole herd dynamic
the
thing.
whole herd dynamic.
Yeah,
And really, if the horse, if you can catch the horse, put a halter on your horse whenever you want, you're in the herd, right? A horse that's hard to catch is the only kind of horse where the human is not yet in the herd, right? You're
right.
still a predator. But if you can easily put a halter on the horse, you're in the herd. So even leaving their person is like
It's a
leaving their herd. And that is the most stressful thing that can happen to a horse because horses rely on the herd and they're constantly changing locations.
Mhm.
So when you lose herd members, it's a big deal.
Right.
But changing location, if you're with the same herd members, is not as big of a deal. And people think that's different, that the horse could just transition to a new location, new herd members, other horses, and a new person
A
as
whole
a
new
herd member.
environment too, new barn, maybe even new feed.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I
A new
mean, digestive
routine.
things, new
Hmm.
routines.
Right. And so we sort of think about buying a horse like we're going to pick out a car and we want to drive it home and then drive it everywhere instantly. But I go, it doesn't really work like that with horses. Like I always figure
Mm,
for some horses, they can settle in a couple of days or a week.
mm,
I had another horse that belonged to a client and she moved, so her horse is with me now while she's getting settled because she basically moved from Florida to Maine, right? So it's a
mm,
big move. And she had to get a barn set up and all of that. So her horse is with me. And I've worked with them as local clients for years. And so the horse knows me.
right.
But the horse had never been off the property he had moved to after being rescued. He was a rescue horse.
Wow.
So he had been at her property until he moved to my property in preparation for moving up to Maine. And it took him probably 3 months to fully like settle in.
Right.
And that was probably because he had a background of, being abandoned,
Being dropped and
being
left and
dropped and left. And so I really had to work with him in gentle ways, but it even surprised me it took him that long to just really relax at my place. And I worked him in the meantime, but I kept all the work pretty easy because I could tell he was just on high alert all the time. He didn't know what other horses were friends or foes. He was scared of the other horses. And so it took a long time for him to settle in.
right.
And other
And
horses come in and they're like, I'm good within a week. But that's unique to the individual horse.
right. And it amazes me what the human response is, what the triggers are. And if we don't step it up and be a good leader and be empathetic and really helping this horse, we're part of the problem.
Right. And it's not like we think training, once a horse has training, that's automatically transferable person to
Mhm.
person. And it's really more dynamic than that. Some of it is transferable. The horse has a set of skills, but it's up to the human to know how to bring those skills out.
Right.
And when a horse is under stress, the skills may be in there, but they're not accessible. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's when they go into that zone. They go into extension, the head's high, the ears are perked. You're dealing with something different.
yeah, or even if they look more anxious, even if they're
Right.
not eating well, if they're looking around all the time, if they're kind of on high alert from the new move, you don't, you can't really assess the training that you thought you were buying until the horse is out of stress. So
That's a good point.
I think of stress kind of like a wall. I go, all of those skills and stuff is in there that you assessed carefully. but there's a wall around it until the horse settles in, until the horse learns to trust you as their new herd member, and maybe get used to the other horses at the new location. So you can't really assess. And some people will say, "Oh, this horse must have been drugged, right? Or this seller really cheated me." And I go, "Yeah, that can happen, but a lot of times it's just the horse is under stress and it's not the same horse when the horse is in a relaxation response and feeling kind of safe and comfortable, then you can access all of the previous training.
Right.
But it's just not accessible until the horse de-escalates and settles in.
Is there anything that you can look for if you're looking at a video? Is there anything that, are there like three things that you identify when you're looking at a video as yes or no?
Um, the first thing I look at, and I tell people, the first thing I'm looking at is I'm looking past the distraction of what they're doing with the horse. So
Okay.
every sales video, this sounds weird, but it's the big secret to sort of seeing what's underneath everything. Every sales video is going to show you all the different things the horse can do,
Right.
right? Whether it's as simple as walk, trot, canter under saddle or driving, or a lot of the sales videos are like showing a jumping horse going over huge jumps or a trail horse going through all kinds of obstacles and trails
Right.
and they love to put little kids on horses to show how safe they
Leading,
are,
little kids leading the horse.
right?
Yeah.
Or tarps or, like all of these things
Right.
to show you how calm and trusting the horse is. And I go, just ignore all that. Just ignore all of it
Okay.
because that's the part that's a little bit dependent on the environment, the
Mm,
human relationship with that particular horse, and how safe and comfortable that horse feels with that person more than
good
anything
point.
else, right? And it's not like you go, okay, the horse can do all this stuff. And again, might not be accessible until you earn a herd membership
I think that
yourself,
is that is if we repeat that 20 times in this podcast is important.
right?
Yeah.
So then my secrets that I look for are I kind of look at the rider because I look at whoever's riding the horse in the video, and this is where little kids don't count. I want to see an adult riding the
Okay.
horse, unless it's a tiny pony. Then I'm still looking at the kid the same way I would look at it as an adult. I want to see, does the rider ride behind vertical, ahead of vertical,
That's a biggie.
right? So does the rider lean back, or does the rider look
Mhm.
sort of like they're standing? Are they vertical or are they tipped forward ahead of vertical? Because that's going to indicate chronic use of the horse's back, right?
Okay.
So riders that are leaning back all the time can create a lot of muscle tension in the horse's back. So what that means to me is that horse might have a habit of dropping the back, right? So I look at the rider, and then sometimes you have to look carefully because professionals who are showing horses on video know how to be subtle. But I look at the rider's
Mm.
legs, and if I can see a lot of movement in the legs, right, then I go, that horse isn't maintaining forward.
Oh, the giddy up and go thing.
Right. So if I see, and sometimes it's a lot of squeezing, not necessarily kicking.
Hmm.
Or if they're wearing spurs, I'm going to assume that horse does not have a lot of go, right? So I go, a horse with no forward energy, is that something I'm prepared to deal with? And no horse is perfect, so
Right.
we're trying to pick the things we can manage.
I think you hit the nail on the head. We have this vision in our heads
Of the
of
Pegasus,
the Cinderella story,
right?
we do.
Right.
and if we don't get that, I've like I said, the reason probably we're doing this is this has happened frequently lately is you get these callbacks that this is not the horse I bought.
Right. And
And in your
it's all,
mind, you're like you think you need something like a husband, you know, you need something. It has to fit in this box or
right,
something, right?
right. No, and I tell people all the time, I go, the number one thing, if I ask somebody, what's your goal? What do you really,
Right.
and I hear all the time, I just want to have a better relationship with my horse.
What the heck?
And I have to remind people, I go, a relationship with a horse is like a relationship with your spouse or your children.
Mm,
A relationship is a back and forth thing. It's not a one-sided thing where they always do what you want,
it's not glorified at all.
right? So I look past what the horse is doing in the video and I kind of look at, does the horse look stressed out or calm? Does the
Mm,
rider look like they're pushing the horse forward all the time, whether they're leaning back or using their legs all the time? I look at what kind of bit the horse has in the mouth. Is it a
good point.
curb bit? Is it a snaffle bit? Is it bitless? How tight are the reins, right? How much is the rider using the reins? And loose doesn't always equal better, but it's like I kind of want to see if they're holding the horse back a lot. If it's a big curb bit and there's not slack in the rein, that's a lot of leverage holding a horse back. That
Good
means that
point.
horse is pretty quick, right? And then I look at the neck use of the horse because that's going to tell me quite a bit. So if the horse, has sort of that sea serpent shaped neck with a dropped poll or a crest on the top of the neck,
Mm,
or if the neck looks too short for the body, like we've talked about, or if the neck is shortening in some way, or the head is tucking backwards in some way, then I go, that tells me the horse has a drop back. So
right.
at some point in the sales video, even for an upper level dressage horse or a jumping horse, a free walk should be a horse easily lengthening, right, on a loose rein. I go, at some point, I want to see if the horse can do that because even in dressage tests, some horses can't do that if they've been going with a drop back and using muscle tension. So if they can't sort of lengthen out and fall into long and low at some point on the video, then I wonder why. I go,
Right.
that could tell me they're not stable enough to fully lengthen all the muscles of the top line and the neck.
Yeah. I think it really boils down to, like you said, meeting the horse. Is there a connection that I can work with this?
Yeah, so the two things when people ask me and they're looking for a horse, the first bit of advice I give is go with the horse that captures your heart. Like
I
there's
like that.
something about certain horses, and even when I've given people advice, this is like, I don't know, a decade ago, I used to actually help people try to assess horses, and they rarely bought the horse I would recommend, but they bought the one that captured their heart. And when we have a heart connection with a horse, the
Mm,
problems aren't as insurmountable. We can
right.
we can
I mean,
tackle the challenges.
it's an actual connection. You did it, didn't you do a podcast with a heart math person
I did.
way back when? I mean, I think that is so critical to bring up because there is that connection.
Yeah, and it's just like if you think of love and fear as opposites, it's
Mm.
a response in our peripheral nervous system or even a cellular response before the brain knows why, right? So
Intuition, whatever you want to call it.
it's hard to explain,
Yeah, you
but
can't really put your finger on it, but you know when you know.
right. So the heart math research showed that there are more ascending nerves from the heart to the brain than there are descending nerves from the brain to the heart. And what that sort of told them tells me is that we can think of the heart as having a certain type of intelligence that's more animal-like than human brains, right? So I go, we have supercomputers in our heads, but our bodies respond more like animals. So like fear happens in the body first, right? Just like a horse meeting a trailer loading episode for the first time, right?
Right.
Their body
You can
responds,
see what their body looks like just by
right?
thinking about that.
Right. Or pain, it's like we touch the hot stove and our hand pulls away before our brain learns, oh, that's what hot means,
Right.
right? And so love is sort of the same way, or we could call it a heart connection that certain horses just call to our hearts. And
Right.
I go, at the end of the day, that's what helps us work out the relationship part. I go, I think when you have a child, you just love your child instantly, right? That's why the bond is so
No
strong.
matter what.
When we pick out a spouse, right? Picking out a spouse or picking out a horse can be for lots of different reasons. But if we don't have
Right.
that heart connection, it gets hard to work through the challenging parts.
Yeah, it's a they're not a partner because and I don't know if we've ever touched on that before, but they're I want that relationship with my horses. I don't want to just use them to do something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's how people are still looking at horse purchases is what can the horse do for me?
Uh,
And I
ex
go, okay, that's one part of it. But to me,
True.
it's lower on the list. The first thing is, does this horse capture my heart?
I
I go,
like that.
that is so important to me. And then the second part that ties into that is, are the challenges, because every horse is going to come with things they can do and things they can't do, right? So if you look at the things that indicate challenges, problems, or what the horse can't do, you decide for yourself, are those problems in my wheelhouse? Like, are
Right.
those problems I know I can either turn around or I can cope with, or I've got the skills to work through those? If you don't see anything that and it sounds obvious, but it's like,
I
it's
agree. It's
not that
not.
obvious.
It's not that obvious. It could, I mean, it could be something so simple as feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do you want a ho to manage a foot problem? You know, I mean, just simple stuff like that.
right,
Yeah.
right. And you decide for yourself, the more you learn about a particular horse you're looking at, there's going to be problems. And if people try to tell you everything's perfect, that's not realistic. That's not the truth about the horse.
Right.
And when I've helped horses move homes, I don't buy and sell like at all. I give advice as if it's a lesson. I give people a lesson, but I don't do commissions. I just think it's a horrible part of our industry.
I agree. I
Um,
agree.
yeah, with trainers making commissions, there's a lot more bad sales. And when I help horses shift homes, it's like the full disclosure of everything that is not perfect about this horse
Mm,
allows people to decide if those issues are in their wheelhouse or not in their wheelhouse of coping or dealing with or living with. And if you don't disclose it, then it not only is bad for the person buying the horse and they're going to be pissed off, it's really bad for the horse.
good point.
Like the horses that switch homes over and over and over develop the biggest problems and the most chronic stress. If nothing else, every time a horse moves to a different situation, it's going to be stress inducing. And so asking for disclosures, asking the owner, what are the issues, right? And if they say, oh, absolutely none, proceed with caution. There's always something.
I've been out of this arena for so many years, but is there any more, like we mentioned, lease with option to buy? I'm thinking of houses, like can you do a lease with option to buy? Can you take
In
the
a
horse to,
lot, in a lot of situations you can. And when you have a good seller, that person selling the horse cares enough to make sure that this horse and new
Mhm.
owner is a good match, right? To the best of our ability. And there's going to be things that come up that were unforeseen, but to the best of our abilities in placing horses or selling horses, you don't want your horse to just get passed around or land in a bad
Exactly.
situation. And so disclosing the challenges the horse has is in your horse's best interest in a new home. And also not trying to sugarcoat where the horse is going to help you find a better match with an owner. And as a buyer, it's, I guess, sort of like doing your due diligence on property, but if there is an option to do a lease, right? Or if, especially if you're shipping a horse in that you bought on a video,
Oh, wow.
is there a return policy? Is there
A return
right?
policy.
Because sometimes getting a vet check, which I always recommend, like I go, our modern horse industry, any horse like people who want a safe horse to learn and ride and build their confidence on, I go find a horse that's 10 years old or older.
Right.
Like
Good
that's my
point.
first criteria. Get a 10-year-old or something older. Those horses can either be massively expensive or they have lameness issues, right? And so I go definitely get a vet check. And even if the horse has lameness issues, that's not a deal breaker to me.
I agree. Because we've rehabbed so many horses that have been labeled with a
Yes,
significant problem, and maybe the pathology doesn't change, but if we can change the movement, we have a sound horse.
right.
Right. Or
Right. And
usable. I mean, not for upper level jumping or something like that, but if it's just trail
there's
ride, things like
s-
that.
certain lameness issues that can be easy to turn around. There's
Right.
other lameness or health issues that are more difficult to deal with. But again, once you have a heart connection with a horse, you need to know if any of the issues, health, behavior, performance, whatever, are those things I know I can deal with? Because there's
Or
going to
get
be
help.
something.
Or
Hmm.
get help. Find somebody. And sometimes it takes a while to find us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it does.
I have a
But
client that just pursued finding me, finding the right help.
oh, that's how I found all my mentors. And
Yeah,
sometimes I literally stumbled into them by accident, and other
right,
times I searched. At one point, I searched for almost 10 years between mentors because
right.
I just couldn't find anybody I really wanted to work with that was where I wanted to go. And and even finding the right horse, I had a client recently and her two horses passed away for different reasons within
Ugh,
a year of each other. And I said, take your time, look at lots of horses, try lots of horses. But that was the first advice I gave her is wait for that heart connection. Then
that is
look at,
so important.
I said, then look at what the issues are and decide if those challenges are in your wheelhouse. And I go,
Mhm.
that's why what the horse does on a sales video doesn't matter to me too much. I'm
Ah,
looking I'm looking more at the nonverbal signs on the video that the horse is either in stress or relaxation. It's going to be one or the other. Some of them are hard to tell. And then I look at what's the horse's posture? How does the horse choose to use
mm,
its neck? How do the legs move? Is there anything that catches my eye regarding the movement? Is the horse upside down the whole time? Can the horse change posture between balanced or upside down and long and low, or are they really fixed in one way of
Hmm.
going? Right. And then I look at, is the rider driving the horse forward all the time? Is the rider sort of sneakily holding the horse back all the
Right.
time?
Look at the bit,
Right.
brain contact.
And
Yeah,
even then, if I don't go and meet the horse in person, I may still not get the same horse I saw on the video. So I need to
that's so important.
approach the horse with that in mind and not just assume the day they arrive and get off the trailer, I'm going to saddle up and go for a trail ride. Like,
Right.
that's not going to happen. So the horse needs to get to know you. You need to get to know the horse.
It go through the dating service time.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be afraid
Meet and
to
meet and
swipe and
greet.
move on. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Meet and greet.
And it is kind of more of a an interview, whether or dating, right? Where we're
Right.
we're trying to see, are we compatible? And the reason I put the heart connection first was really because I think when there is that heart connection, sometimes we get a boatload of problems that come with it, but they were the right problems for us, for our personal growth. And I think somehow God or the gods or the cosmos has this arrangement that we know
For
nothing
you.
about just for you with that horse. And if you love the horse, you're going to switch gears to help that horse.
I think that's the group we're speaking to, that want a relationship with their horse.
Yeah,
And
and
that's different than other people.
like for example, the first schoolmaster I ever bought, right? I thought I was getting a fourth level dressage horse that had competed successfully,
Mhm.
was doing really well. He was 12 years old. It was a friend of a friend of a friend, so I was getting this unbelievable bargain on this beautiful horse. And, my heart just was instantly captured by this horse. And I'm like, oh, good, I've got this competitive schoolmaster I can learn,
Right?
refined dressage competition with, right? Well, once he moved to me, he was pretty solid in his mind. He adapted pretty quickly. We built up a relationship. I could ride him right away. He was fine. But over the first year he was with me, I kept thinking, he's losing muscle. Like he's looking worse. And despite my best efforts at the time in my care, his body just was slowly, systematically looking
Wow.
worse. And I was trying to do the dressage. I was also trail riding him and just kind of keeping things easy. And no matter what I was doing, or the feeding or the supplements or whatever, it was like he just kept looking worse. And that horse ended up truly being a schoolmaster because he's the horse that changed my trajectory from competitive
Wow.
riding to rehab. Like
Wow.
complete 90-degree change of direction, right? And because I loved him so much and started to realize and part of it was he could hold up to a certain age maybe and still look great and perform great. And I was getting him, they must have known that his performance was waning, so they rehomed him.
Oh, okay.
But that
And
performance
and that's
waning
kind of
can
sad.
be, well, the waning performance is a good indicator that you've got mechanical lameness.
You've got problems.
And I didn't know anything about horse coordination at the time. So it was just that mechanical lameness was slowly transitioning into painful lameness,
Right.
right? And he wasn't gradably lame on a flexion test, but he was just
He wasn't
getting
biomechanically correct.
right.
So, right.
So
And
some of
that's
his
different.
muscles were
That won't come
wasting,
up on a lameness exam, quote unquote.
right? But that dysfunctional coordination was it dictates the muscle use, right? So some muscles were
Mm.
getting bulkier and other muscles were atrophying. And it was just like I just kept watching him look worse in my care. And I was horrified that I was doing this to this horse. And he's the horse that led me because of it. He became a true schoolmaster and he led me to the mentors that guided me through rehab and understanding horse balance. And as I always felt like I was just behind, like I couldn't learn fast enough to turn
Yeah,
this horse
I
around.
understand that. I understand that. Or like a lot of people that come to us, what we hear is, I've been looking for this for years. They're
Mhm.
constantly going, okay, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. I
Right.
still haven't found, and that's okay. I mean, it happens.
Yeah. And this horse, it's like he had had all this great training. He was even on the cover of some magazine because they could lay him down and get on him. They could do like, he had this whole great history. And I thought, ooh, easy breezy. I'm getting a
I
good one
love
this
that
time.
thought. Yep.
Right. Right after I had started my own Arabian under saddle who went everywhere at Mach 10, I was like, I just want a sane horse,
I just
right?
want to sit on something and have it do what I ask. How about that?
Right, right.
Yeah,
And
like that
so
happens.
so this horse initiated me on the path of learning what I
Wow,
know
that's
now.
powerful.
And it is powerful. That's why
That's
I
really
go,
powerful.
if it wasn't for that heart connection, I might have put him out to pasture, retired him, trail rode him,
Sold him.
sold him, whatever.
Right.
But I go because of that heart connection, and I got problems I didn't even see coming. Didn't see coming
I think
because
that's it in the nutshell. You don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
no, and that was the last horse I ever picked out by looking at what the horse could do. Because I went,
Oh, that's a good point.
that was a huge blind spot based on his past, his performance, and seeing what he could do was not the same horse that was coming to my house. And
That is the key because that we give it parameters.
yeah, we expect to just pick up.
When somebody says it fits in this box,
Hmm.
that's not life. I mean, that's just not how life works.
Yeah. I also had a client once that she had a lot of money and she would get vet checks, she would go with a trainer.
Hmm.
She was picking out six-figure horses, right?
Hmm.
She had all the right clothes, beautiful barn, the ability to buy these really expensive horses and just wanted to ride in the ring and win a ribbon, right?
Yup, been
And
there,
what
done that.
what she ended up with were 4 or 5 paddocks of six-figure horses that could no longer be ridden because they were so lame. And I go, so this
Oh, bother.
happens to everybody at every level.
I agree.
And again, that's why I put that heart connection first. I go, just because even if you get way more than you bargained for, like I did, it's going to change the path of learning.
I
It might not be like he wasn't the schoolmaster to guide me through the show ring, but he was a more important schoolmaster
Mhm.
to guide me down a totally different path of horse training that I didn't even know existed before.
I think it boils down just common. We always think, what is that horse going to do for me? But it really needs to flip that coin is like, what can I do for this horse?
Right.
What lessons am I going to learn?
Well, if that thought doesn't cross our mind at some point,
Hmm.
because horses essentially, I go, it really boils down to something very simple. Horses need to feel safe. Horses need to feel stable. And that's why we call it a stable, right? Just kidding.
I
But
don't know.
feel safe, stable, and comfortable. I go, if you give horses those three feelings, experiences to them internally, you get back all the cooperation to do what you want to do. But if we don't ask the question, what does the horse need from me?
Mhm.
We seldom get back what we want, or we only get back what we want for a limited window of time. And then
Or
it's
they
gone.
and they go into that, and I don't know if people realize that they go into that fawning or shutdown, and we think they're just a calm horse. You know what I'm saying? But it's different.
Right.
What? Yeah, that's a different horse.
So the last new horse I got, Rafalco, he had been an upper level dressage horse, very well bred, and had a lameness issue, navicular changes on one front
Hmm.
hoof. And he was donated to a nonprofit to be a lesson horse. And he's such a gorgeous horse that the trainer there wanted him, sort of took him over. And after a year, he was getting a little more dangerous. And sorry, the lady from the nonprofit who went to check him out, just exactly those words. He is a push button dressage horse. He knows everything.
All those words
He
fits the
was just a
box.
joy to ride,
Fits
right?
the box.
Right. And so she took him for the nonprofit. She was in charge of selecting the horses, and it was a good call. Very nice horse, right? And the navicular changes might have hindered higher performance, but wouldn't have hindered him as a lesson horse. So then the trainer at that nonprofit took him over for a year, and he kind of went downhill in that year. And then they pushed her to either take him as a personal horse or they were going to rehome him. And she had the vet back out, and his x-rays were a bit worse. He had developed ring bone on top of the navicular changes. So she was like, yeah, I don't want him. And so
Mm.
I stuck my hand up. And at the time, he was head bobbing lame with bad pathology. But
Right.
that was in my wheelhouse. So
Right.
I was like,
It
I,
was your time.
yeah, I go ring bone and navicular changes on the front feet are something I know how to turn around, and it's not
Right.
expensive for me to turn around because I have the knowledge.
That's a
So,
good point. Because that's a very good point, because it could be expensive to turn things around.
and certain ones are going to be
Good point.
expensive no matter how you slice
Right.
it or dice it. But I went those two lameness issues, not expensive to deal with, not hard to turn around, right? And then the first time I rode him, I got on and all I did was pick up the reins at the buckle and he put his head in like roll cur. He just basically curled
Poor
his neck
guy.
and put his nose between his knees. And I went, okay, the reins are not a tool. Like can't use them
Right.
because that's obviously a trigger to him. And that was the first time I realized, oh yeah, she did say push button dressage horse. He's fawning. So it was his stress response to be highly obedient. I couldn't do anything that smelled like a dressage maneuver without him anticipating the move and
Poor guy.
kind of throwing his body into it in a dysfunctional way. And that's also very typical of the fawning defense, a sign of chronic stress. It's the covert fawning defense
Fawning.
strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what comes with fawning are completely random blow-ups for no reason because they basically, in the fawning defense, they are just trying to, they're people pleasers, right? Is people pleasing. And so at the extreme, it becomes kind of what we call passive aggressive. It's like they're good, they're good, they're good, but internally, that stress hits a certain threshold or level.
Right.
And on a perfectly calm, beautiful day when everything's quiet, they blow up for no reason.
Yep.
It had nothing to do with the environment, or it can be a hair trigger, something they've
Yeah.
seen a million times and they suddenly overreact. And so that's the challenge with fawning is you get not frequent. They're not frequent and but they're
And it's not from
random.
the same thing. It's very random.
Yeah, very random.
It's not like always the white plastic bag thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. One day they can deal with it and then the next minute
Yeah.
they can't. And that's because all of that stress that they're sort of pushing down and not acting out, not expressing,
Right.
and they get called well-trained horses,
Hmm.
highly obedient horses, push-button horses, maid horses, like husband horses. But
Oh, that
really,
in the box, that checks the box,
yeah, and
When
then
you're buying, it's like, oh, really? Yay.
yeah. And actually one of the signs will be digestive issues.
I was going to say ulcers. This is the big horses that
Hmm.
internalize and that are people pleasers. We see a lot of ulcers.
Yeah, you'll see ulcers, colics, even if they were mild,
Hmm.
or things like food anxiety. And the
Good
other
point.
thing is, particularly around feeding times, losing their ever-loving minds if meals are late. Like
Oh, yeah,
cannot be off schedule.
yeah,
And all of that is part of the fawning defense, but it's so interesting how it becomes food related, digestive related because of
yeah.
that internalized stress. And that's another point to make. Like I always recommend a pre-purchase exam. And I go, lameness does not like ruin the sale for me. I just want to know what I'm in
I
for.
need to know what I need to know and then
Hmm.
maybe put it out to my peoples and get some opinions.
Right.
Because you can't buy a horse over 10 years old that's been in any kind of training
Without some
without
arthritis,
some sort of defect.
yeah,
It's like people, come on.
right. And so you just want to know what you're in
I just want to
for.
know. It's like buying a house. Here's the checklist of what's working and what's not.
Right. So I recommend that people ask for their horse's veterinary history, and the veterinary
Right.
history has to be released by the current owner of the horse. So the seller has to call their vet for the vet to release the records to a potential buyer.
Right. You can't just call a vet clinic and get records. It's a like a HIPAA violation. It's not going to
Right,
happen.
right. But the current owner of the horse can release the veterinary records on that horse from the vet. And I like to look at the veterinary records. And
I do too.
and
And I
if
want x-rays. I always want x-rays within a year.
even if it's a baseline. Yeah.
Yeah, just a baseline.
So
And
I
how do
may
you
as
feel about getting x-rays with shoes or without shoes?
it depends on what they like. I would say initial x-rays, if I'm just doing a pre-purchase, I always include the x-rays because if there's nothing wrong, I have a baseline. And in that
Right.
case, I start with the shoes on. If we find something, it might be you might have to pull a
Pull
shoe
the
to get a
shoes and go
better,
back and re-x-ray
yeah, get
different
a better
angles
rate.
because I think the basics are x-rays are just laterals. They're
You
not
can get
doing
laterals, you can get a sky view, you could
the
get an
sky view is really
under.
important for my farrier. My
Hmm.
farrier always wants a sky view.
Yeah, and they do under views, front, back, side view, but
Yeah. You need to
whatever.
ask what is going to be part of the pre-purchase exam.
And a lot of vets now, especially with part of a pre-purchase, it takes more time to do more views. But since the advent of digital radiographs, it's like
It's instant.
it's
Yeah.
not as expensive. So a lot of vets say, once I pull out my X-ray machine, it's a
Just
flat fee, no matter how
just do
many
it.
you want.
Just do it. Do
Yeah,
all of them because then you don't have to go back and get charged another trip fee.
right. Like if you're not taking a horse that you know is going to need rehab, if you're trying to buy a performance horse or a horse that you want to do the least amount of work with possible, the pre-purchase exam is pretty necessary and the vet records. You want those two things. And
Right.
even with, and the other thing about a pre-purchase is especially if it's out of the area, get
Mm.
any vet but
Their
the
vet.
owner's vet. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about in your area, but we have like a couple of practices, veterinary practices that specialize in it.
In pre-purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on your area, but even if
Yeah.
you're out in podunk nowhere, try to get because whatever office you're getting the vet records from, that vet has a relationship with that owner as an ongoing client. They don't
Right.
want to blow the sale. Like that's just how
Well,
human
that's a
nature
good
works.
point. Right.
So that vet might not be as forthright. I'm not saying they're going to hide anything,
Right.
but they might not be quite as forthright, or they might not throw up red flags where maybe you need to know a bit more how serious it is. Um,
Just get an independent somebody.
yeah, try to find
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't already have a relationship with that trainer, owner, or barn and get a vet check from that person. And then get the vet records from the horse's current
Right.
vet. Um,
That's what I did when I got Milo. They wanted to just ship him, and I said, no, no, no. I want to look at his vet records before he gets on a trailer.
yeah, because if there's something lurking in there that you know nothing about,
Hmm.
I mean, things that go wrong with horses can get really expensive really quick.
Yeah.
And if you just don't have the financial means to cope with it, sometimes even if you want to, it's not going to be financially feasible.
Or time. I
Right,
mean, the time that the management of things.
right,
Yeah, we don't
right.
consider that it's money and time.
No, and most horses, I go because balancing a horse's coordination is not well known in our
Right.
horse industry right now. I go, you're going to get a horse that's poorly coordinated in one way or another. So I
Hmm.
go, how bad is it? Is there anything I see that looks like they're bordering on a lameness issue, or anything I see that's calling out a bigger problem to me?
Right.
Right. And then sometimes the horse we love is an off the track thoroughbred riddled with health issues
And mental issues.
and high level of stress, high energy, and
But we
that's the
love
horse we want,
them.
right? And that
Or is the color
horse,
thing? What is with the color breeds?
right? I know. Yeah, it's funny. Some people are very attached to breeds or colors, but I
Hmm.
go within that, you still are going to find an individual.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't all they don't check all of our boxes. I think we really have to be aware of that. The language that people use to sell horses, just be aware of that.
No, and like I see it a lot too when you've had this fantastic horse, you want to go buy the same breed, maybe even a sibling
Mm,
or related
I
to.
know.
And I felt that pull when I lost Prima. It's like
I need another Arab.
I knew the breeders, I was good friends with them,
Oh boy.
and I could feel why people do that, like that temptation of
Mm.
they had her sister, her full sister.
Oh
And I was
boy.
like,
Oh
oh,
boy.
but you're not. I go, I look at me and my two sisters, I go, we're very different. Like just being siblings,
Doesn't, no.
full
I mean,
siblings
the
doesn't
difference
mean,
between my two kids is night and day.
yeah, yeah. So that's a little bit of a wishful thinking, but I go, it's still just because the last horse really filled your heart doesn't mean the sibling is going to play the same
That's a
role.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I take on horses, and some of my clients are st like a lot of times I come in the picture doing rehab when people now have a horse that can't be sold, right?
exactly. You
I
cannot,
go, some of these
yeah,
problems get big enough that all you're doing is passing on problems to somebody else, and you know the horse will end up suffering for that
right,
sale. And so they just decide to keep the horse, or they love the horse and can't figure out what to do. And that's where, just like me, you take a hard left onto the path of rehab and you
right.
go, you're going to
Let,
learn a different part of horse training. But I find it's like the secret, it's the path to the secret garden. Like I
I
just,
agree. I
yeah,
completely, but we're geeky about
we're
that.
geeky about it.
That's our thing. And I understand that I even have a neighbor that had a problem with a horse that kept bucking her off, and she chose to just sell him,
Hmm.
you know? So I have to respect that too.
Well, and I always kind of cross my fingers and hope that somebody who's had experience with turning
Hmm.
around bucking horses wound up with that horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's like I just had to kind of let it go. But I don't have the stomach for buying and selling
I
horses
don't either.
because I
I
just
don't.
know how stressful it is for the horses. And some of them wind up kind of like foster care kids where they just, keep moving around, and it takes a toll on them.
I know. We
So,
forget that it's not about filling our boxes, all checking our boxes, that these are living, breathing creatures.
yeah, and I made a conscious decision. The last time I tried to sell a horse, it was a disaster, and he came back to me, thank goodness. But I went, first of all, we're just going to work this out. We're going to figure it out. Ended
Right.
up being one of my favorite horses ever, but I had to really look at myself with that
I
horse.
think that's what we don't want to do.
We don't want to do that. It
We don't want
sucks.
to go there.
Totally
Oh, is
sucks.
it about me? It's me? Oh my God.
Well, we're part of the relationship, so there's a
Exactly.
part of it about you. But I decided any animal that comes to live with me now is just here until they go in the ground.
Pretty much me too.
I go, once
Yeah.
they're here, they're mine for life.
And
So
I just have to figure it out,
yeah. And at
whatever
some
that
point I
means.
might change my mind, but just the thought of putting horses out, and I've had fantastic rehoming experiences. There have been many.
That's Milo. Milo was a rehoming experience, and it's taken him a few months to warm up to me.
Mhm.
But now he's finally like, me first. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
And you have to wait for that. You have to honor that
Yes.
timing, their timing of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we got to go. We've been yapping up an hour now. Um, but I guess just a quick recap is everybody is sort of bedazzled by what the horse is doing on these videos, and that is the marketing of getting the horse sold,
Right.
right? So I like plain Jane videos. I like to see a side view of the horse from each side in motion. I like to see the horse coming straight at the camera, straight away from the camera. I'm looking at posture. I'm looking at body language, expression. I'm going, does this horse look secretly stressed out, overtly stressed out, or really connected to the rider? I look at what the rider's doing, and I look at, and then I'm going to do my due diligence of sort of, does the horse speak to my heart? What are the vet records? If I need a pre-purchase, what are they saying about this horse? And then when all is said and done, I go, I'm still not expecting the horse I saw on the video to be the horse that shows up on day one,
Exactly. On not on day one
right? And it may take 3 months for that horse's training
to
to be
come
ex
back.
to
Right.
be accessible to me as
Exactly.
the new owner. Yeah. So quick recap, but there's a gazillion videos out there, and what humans like to see is the dazzling part, right? They like to see the flashy movement, the music, the people have gotten really creative with their sales videos, um and it's a way to capture the buyer's heart, but you really don't know if that horse has your heart, maybe until you meet him in person. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Sometimes a video can help you make that decision whether you want to see the horse in person or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and Rafalco, who I ended up taking the first time I saw him, was at the nonprofit barn. And it was like there was a big golden light around him. And he went, hello. And I went, oh my God, if I needed another horse, he'd be it. And
Aw,
then sort of that's what I mean. And then I had three horses at the time. I was like, there's no way I want a fourth horse.
right,
And I go, but the Cosmos had different plans. He ended up
right.
becoming my horse all the same. But that's kind of what I mean by a heart connection. You just kind of know.
It just happens.
It just happens. Yeah. And I haven't tried to make it logical anymore. I go, just
Doesn't
happens.
check any boxes.
Doesn't check any boxes. So I buy a head bobbing lame horse from another
Of
state.
course you do. Alrighty.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, you guys, for sticking with us for another episode. Please like, share, subscribe, pass it around, all of that good stuff. Thank you very much for your support. It keeps us going. And if you like the information we share, because it is different,
Uh,
then keep it moving around the internet
Yeah.
ethers and it keeps us going.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.